when his remains were coming back, put on a show. I had the most amazing visit with a great family. He's great. He didn't even know what happened. American helicopter gunships machine gunning women and children, which I mentioned on the floor. People thought I was making it up. Now there are congresspersons on both sides of the aisle calling for an investigation. Why did those other SEALs get injured? Why was that multi-million-dollar aircraft destroyed? What was the purpose? And Trump was saying it was a great success. They got intelligence information. And you know what it turned out to be? Months and even years ago, this very material that he called newly discovered intelligence information had been published. It was on the internet. And that's your so-called president. Suppose a black man tomorrow, when that racist is talking to a joint session of Congress, stood up and said, "You lie." They'd throw him out of there and he'd be beaten to a pulp before he got outside that chamber. But when that racist white guy hollered out to President Obama, "You lie," white people played like it didn't happen. We see what you are. We see the pass you give to those who are like you. What president of any race, and we'd have to say white ones, could lie like this man? Day after day after day, and you all swallow it. Then your governor runs out there to a meeting with him, and he's proud, and you all are proud of him. Then you hold your head down, you act like you don't know what I'm talking about, when he makes another of his asinine statements and talk about all of the media are putting fake news out there. Russia's good. Wasn't there that guy named Gecko who said, "Greed is good"? He knew, because that's what drove Wall Street. And when you looked at that dollar and it said, "In God we trust," the dollar was the God that they trusted. And they'd lay down your life for their God, not their own life. Lay down your life. Send your young children to these foreign places to die for nothing. Then try to prettify it by saying they died for your right to protest. They died for your right not to stand up when the national anthem, as they call it, is played. They didn't have that on their mind. Survival. A lot of young men join the military because they can't get a job out here. And the government knows that. They know that there are over 2 million people with some ancient felony conviction on their record who will never be able to get a job, but they'd make good cannon fodder. So now they're loosening the requirements and they let them join the military. You think they're going over there to fight for America and the freedom that they were denied when they were here? They're trying to make a living, and you won't let them make it here, so they have to risk their life for those who don't even see them as human beings. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Chambers. Senator Panzine Brooks, you're now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's see. I think we ought to have a little discussion with people on the Transportation Telecommunications Committee. Let's see. Who's here? Senator Breezy, are you here? Because you spoke earlier. Would you mind answering some questions?
Senator Breezy, would you yield?
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Senator Breezy. I was just wondering if you've had some sort of discussion, policy discussion about what kind of speech you all will allow on license plates, because I'm interested for the future.
No, I don't believe we've had that discussion. I think everyone agrees that anyone is free to bring forth proposed legislation asking for any type of license plate. But as far as what folks on the Transportation Committee would be interested in having on there, no, that wasn't discussed.
Okay, so do you think it's a good idea to have a policy about what the state would generally believe is appropriate speech on a license plate?
Hadn't really thought about that.
Okay, so of course anybody can bring the legislation because the people are the second house, and so clearly anybody can bring a plate. It's just whether or not the 8 of you will vote it out. Thank you, Senator Breezy. What about you, Senator Geist? Are you willing to answer a question? Thank you.
Senator Geist, would you yield to a question?
Yes, I will.
Thank you, Senator Geist. I'm wondering if you heard any kind of discussion about policy or anything as a member of the Transportation and Telecommunication Committee, any kind of policy on what would be appropriate for speech for license plates. How broadly should we go forward on this? And should it only be the conservatives who choose?
Oh, of course not. I do recall the conversation that we had in saying that it being a matter of freedom of speech, and if someone on the opposing side wanted to bring forth a bill, we would certainly consider that with the same weight we would consider this one.
So why don't we just open up license plates to allow anybody to put whatever they want on it, and the committee shouldn't even have jurisdiction over it? What about that?
I didn't think of whether the committee should have jurisdiction over it since it was brought before us.
Thank you, Senator Geist. I appreciate you thinking about it.
Okay.
Let's see, who else do we have here? Senator Friesen, the committee chair. Is he available?
He's excused, Senator.
Oh, okay. Senator Friesen. Okay. What about Senator Smith, the vice chair of the committee of this bill? Is Senator Smith available?
Senator, I do not see him on the floor currently.
Okay, thank you. What about Senator Bosselman, also on the Transportation Committee?
Senator Bosselman, would you yield to a question?
Yes, I would.
Thank you, Senator Bosselman. What I was wondering is, was there any policy discussion that you know of how to go forward on this, and what kind of speech to allow each year or not allow, and how to go forward, or is it just according to the makeup of the committee of what kind of speech the state should promote and allow?
If I understand your question, there was no discussion as to what would be appropriate and not appropriate to be brought before the committee.
So, okay, go ahead, sorry.
That the committee looked at the bill that was brought by the presenter and considered that bill on its own merits, and
So,
that the committee would be open to any.
So you think it should just be every time something comes forward, and then the 8 senators get to choose whether or not that's going to go forward or not, even if you aren't necessarily representing every constituency in the state? So do you think, I think it would be good to have a policy, don't you?
Well, I guess I'm trying to understand your question. I think the opportunity for senators to bring bills before any committee.
Thank you, Senator Bosselman. That's not where I'm going. Thank you very much. Okay. Appreciate your willingness to speak. Senator Hilgers, as a member of the Transportation Committee. So,
Senator Hilgers, would you yield?
Yes.
Thank you, Senator Hilgers. So, are
Time,
you?
Senators.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senators Pansy and Brooks, Breezy, Geist, and Bosselman. Senator Chambers, this is your 3rd time, and you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to read my proposed amendments to give an idea of the things that I think are important. This one says, because it hasn't been mentioned, strike choose life and insert knowledge is power. Strike choose life and insert rape is no laughing matter. That's for Donald Trump and his ilk. The next one, strike choose life, no one is above the law. The next, strike choose life, end child abuse. The next one, strike choose life, believe the children. Strike choose life, insert stamp out bullying. Strike choose life, insert end domestic violence. Strike choose life, abolish punishment. Strike choose life, insert believe in yourself. Strike choose life, insert treat others as you would be treated. Strike, choose life, this too will pass. Strike, choose life, it could be worse. Strike, life, and insert freedom of choice. Then it would read, choose freedom of choice. Strike life and insert liberty and justice for all. It would then read, choose liberty and justice for all. Strike life and insert freedom, justice, equality. Choose those things. Strike life and it would read, choose wisdom over riches. Strike life, it would read, choose quality education for all children. Strike life, it would read, a sound mind in a sound body. Strike life, it would read, choose peace. Strike life, it would read, choose honest officials. Strike life, it would read, choose love and happiness. After the word life, insert in capital punishment, it would read, choose life, end capital punishment. After life, you would insert liberty and brotherhood. It would read, choose life, liberty, and brotherhood. After life, insert abolish